Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how the enemy will live the life of a lobster and how we are soaring like eagles out here. You know what I mean? We have a lot less worries than the average being spiritually, but physically we have the most pressure put on us. But the enemy living the life of a lobster, you know, probably don't make much sense right now, but watch. Like I was thinking about and diving in on this yesterday because I was building with somebody just on, you know, different things that could happen, places we may go or return to, you know, later on in life. And somehow we got on the food and I was just thinking about lobsters and I was like, damn, that gotta be a torturous way to live and to go out if you are resurrecting as a lobster in the Western society, you know, or if you in any of the big oceans, waterlands where these Western motherfuckers be fishing at, you know. We all know that lobsters get cooked alive. I couldn't imagine how fun that would be to be me just sitting in the hottest boiling water I could possibly find to get plopped in, and then I'm just stuck in there. One, because I cannot swim up above it because they put it just to where the lobsters cannot get out of there. So you have to think about like all these demons and witchy motherfuckers. Like it don't necessarily has to be a lobster, but if you think about and just process, like people want to come back and reincarnate as like a lion or a dog, some kind of dog or a bear or a bird, you know. Being reincarnated as a lobster in this Western society, that's pretty torturous, because one, you don't live a long life, and for two, you have to have one of the most painfulest exits out of here. You know, it ain't even like it's quick and fast. Like, it's torturous, kind of like the spiritual torture that the elders have to go through, because their ass is too old and too programmed to start shifting out of their old programs and shit that they was in. You know what I mean? And this realm is big, you know, as many heavens, as many hells, you know. And to me, I know that the good places, the righteous places, will have to be somewhere warm. It will have to be somewhere peaceful, you know, or something that would be, it will offer more peace on a higher level. Everything is at a percentage, you know. So if your life right now, you only can conjure up and create 30-40% peace, then the place you go to, you know, afterwards, it'll be more peaceful. Eagles live a more peaceful life. They're the biggest birds that take over the air. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a whole bunch of competition and predators that's fucking with them and all kind of other things. You know what I'm saying? So, and even as like, even a lion is pretty chill, but a lion has to be on his toes and alert more than an eagle does. You know what I mean? But lobsters, like the same way we born into this society and we have a certain role to do, why wouldn't it be a thing for some of these demonic beings to come back to torture out for a short lobster life and then to go away and then to come back and torture out as something else again? You know what I'm saying? Like, maggots are pretty disgusting. It's a lot of physical representations of things that look like it came from not a good place, but it's still being used because we know this realm recycles. You know, everything is in cycle. But when you actually process what these other beings is doing, you know what I mean, and how they operate and how they have to cause and create so much damage and chaos. I was talking to somebody else yesterday too, and it was like, I was telling them about self-sabotage. You know, some of us have a tendency of doing that, and plus I know a lot of us chosen ones, we tend to self-sabotage before we sabotage, you know. And that's because we know how to keep our explosion within ourselves. We're like a suicide bomber, but we'll run away, isolate it, and then we'll just boom, blow up. So then it's just us blowing up. These beings are sabotagers. We self-sabotage They sabotage, meaning that they'll pull up in your house with the bomb and blow that whole bitch up with it. You know what I'm saying? You, them, the family, the little people, everybody. You know what I mean? So, like, understanding like these different concepts. Like, I used to watch Dane Calloway, and I still do tap into him. You know, if it wasn't for Dane, a lot of us wouldn't be aware and have the knowledge of, you know, being an Aborigine or a native to this land. But I used to tap in with Dane in like 2015, 2016. That's how long I've been watching him. And when I used to hear his statement, I loved it. I loved it because it's so basic, but he did such a good job at grabbing it first. I'm just here to make you think. It just set on my spirit, because when I start learning from him, at least in that area, because, you know, it's kind of like school. You got different teachers for different curriculums. When I'm spiritually learning and need to know things, I got different teachers for spiritual lessons. But yeah, for him, that shit just stood solid. I'm just here to make you think. So with me and taking that information and then looking at the lobster eagle and then the chosen and the enemies out here, you could see how the chosen ones and the eagles would line up together. Because we pretty fucking brave, we solid. You know, to be real, this is the revolution. The revolution is being televised. Like, the people who we used to watch, Martin Luther King and the Black Panthers and all these other beings, like, that was their day and age, you know. We are the new revolutionaries, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of give yourself a small pat on the back, because you're really not going to get your credit and your accolades until you move on to your next journey. It's something about when our physical bodies are done, it's almost like people put more value and emphasis on the spirit and that energy that was here, you know what I mean? So we, in the Western society, we're not into giving flowers while beings are here now, unless they artificial or they tell you to do it on Valentine's Day. You have to be told to give flowers, you know what I mean? Like, but if you actually process what's going on, that's us. That is us. Everyone that's standing up in front of these computers, in front of these screens, you know, the ones that's out here fighting this real life fight in real lifetime, meaning you constantly standing up at your job for yourself, people. You constantly speaking out at locations wherever you go to, you know what I'm saying? You allow people in your space and you don't allow that witchy shit to slide, you know what I'm saying? Like, you helping and trying to reach as many people as you can. This is the revolution being televised. You know what I mean? Like, the movies had people thinking this was some far out place or space to go to. Nah. That same energy that the Black Panthers held, that shit is in us too. That same shit that Malcolm X used to say, by any means, that shit is in us too. That same shit that Martin Luther King was saying, we have very small portions of that in us right now. You know, we're not too much of a Martin Luther. You know, we don't give a fuck about coinciding with the opposition. Like, I don't give a fuck if you give me space at your table. I'll stand up and eat. I'll go sit over here on the floor and eat. You know what I mean? Like, that Martin Luther King shit was weak. That shit was weak. Yeah, I'm not in agreement with that shit right there. So, you know, to each his own. That's why Malcolm X came out. I am more, and I don't even know if these characters is real, but I know for the most part, like, the concept of Malcolm, by any means, is me. I don't want to be holding hands with the opposition. If I hold your hand, I'm gonna snap 5 of your fingers and break your wrist. That's what's gonna happen. Because what's crazy about that shit is what Martin was doing. He's trying to pull shit together. He's trying to pull all these lobsters over here with these eagles. And these eagles, like, you know what? I'll just lift off. Because these lobsters are not flying up here where I'm at. I don't even have to fly there. I could, boom, go to a tree, and I'm out of the space of those fucking lobsters. We can call them crabs in a barrel, you know, because it's the same thing. That energy is bottom of the barrel, is bottom feeding, you know. For crabs to pull another crab down, that's a spiritual thing. That's a spiritual thing. So that means that selfish energy had to make its way back to a crab's life, back to a lobster's life. There's all these torturous spaces you can go to, especially in today's age, because all of this shit is being recycled. All of it's being recycled. So some of us are being born into the Western world blessed, spiritually blessed. Then some of us are coming into this Western world physically blessed. You know what I'm saying? Which is different than your spiritual blessing. Spiritual blessing, you could be with a bum, poor, not a lot of money family, but you still spiritually rich. You still the livest spirit. You know what I'm saying? You still the most litty out of your peers and your family. You know what I mean? But then when you process like these lobsters and these crabs, like one is pulling the other one down with the crabs. So clearly crabs have a spirit in them. That spirit had to come from somewhere. These are selfish things that are not living their most fruitful life. They are recycling because they have a physical body, so they have a space in this realm. So they're allowed here. But when you come here to these spaces and you're not of the best energy, you have to take on different forms. Different forms. You know what I mean? And just being able to dive in and just process different things, you know what I mean? Like, and get a deeper understanding of what's actually going on, because we see a lot of bugs around us all the time. So all of us can kind of correlate with ants. We all know humans kind of migrate and cooperate similar to ants. Ants are huge. So that means that spirit takes on we take on a lot of that spirit energy as well too. You know what I mean? If you look at it, ants are praised. They know they small and they spiritual beings, so they're gonna do what they are designed to do. Doesn't matter if you try to step on them or do something. Like they're gonna try to get out the way, but their goal is to take care of their tribe. You got the little ants that's going out finding the food, and they go back tell the tribe, and then the other ants pull up, and then they all start forming a line. They all start forming a line, extremely organized. You know what I'm saying? You won't get that same organization with these lobsters and these crabs. You know what I'm saying? The crabs is going to be pulling you down. After they done being a crab and being disgusted, then they have to go into a lobster body in the Western world. These lobsters are here. You can go pick out your own spirit and burn his ass alive. I don't go inside with that. I don't think that shit is okay. But in the Western society, knowing that we create heaven, we can create hell. So that means for any form of spirit that's coming back and they're utilizing those vessels, they are getting tortured on their way out. You know what I mean? No different than maggots and all of these other little rodents and scurril things that beings don't love. People don't love raccoons. You got a small percentage that's okay with them because of their animals. People don't love skunks. A small percentage are okay with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, spirits have to take on these different vessels. You know what I mean? And for us, I compared us to the eagle because our ego is what keeps us soaring out here. A lot of people say, oh, no, push your ego to the side. Ego and ego. I put ego and ego together because they're both soaring. So I'm not somebody who's like super conceited or, overly dramatically confident and all this other shit. But nah, I do believe in myself. You know what I mean? And in this witchy ass society, you need that ego to lift you up above those crabs and those lobsters. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you allowing yourself to just hang out down there, them motherfuckers get their claws on you, then what? One crab got you, then the other crab is gonna grab. They're all gonna start grabbing and holding you. All of them. You know what I'm saying? So don't take offense. Everybody talking about the death of the ego, death of the ego. You wouldn't have one if you had to kill it. That's like people who take out their tonsils. Like, you removing something spiritually that's there for you, but you only can use the tonsils as a physical representation. It's kind of like my mom and the other women start getting the insides of their womb cleaned out. Like, why would you just put a vacuum in there? I don't want any more. That was given to you. That's how I feel about the ego. You know what I'm saying? Like, we pretty humble beings, but we are pretty fucking solid. You know, we soaring, we brave. You know, we doing all of the above. Great eyesight. Eyesight is another form of vision. Eagles have excellent vision. Us chosen spiritual beings, we have excellent vision. Not saying we always make the best decisions, just like eagles. You know, when eagles get to a certain age, they have to, they can extend their life longevity by beating their beak back straight, because it bends over time and over age. So they have to spend a numerous amount of time beating this against a rock, the mountain, whatever they use to straighten it back up. Once they straighten that back up, the eagles are guaranteed at least another 15, 20 years of life. But they have to put themselves through some kind of pain. They have to put themselves through some kind of transition. And if the eagles is not solid enough to beat their beaks, you know, and fix their shit, they usually only got about 2 to 5 years left when they could have had an extra 15 to 20, you know what I mean? So just being aware of these concepts, you know. I ain't want to run it up too long. I have been kind of a little bit all over the place this time. I ain't really want to just dive in slapping them and then dive in preaching on that. Sometimes I just like to mix it up. So when I start doing the lives, I'm going to have a lot more sit downs where it's just conversational, and it's not going to be so directed the way I do it now, or the way I'm forced to give it now, you know, because I never said, hey, I want to stand up here and talk for all these people. I want to do all these things, you know. I want to be nervous. I want to be a little bit fearful. I want to have to worry about fixing my solar plex and my heart chakra and keeping everything aligned, and, you know, focus on my breathing so I could use my throat chakra properly. Like, I never said any of these things. I started making music and I wanted to be behind the scenes. Producing is behind the scenes, videography is behind the scenes, photography is behind the scenes. I start doing these things, the creator said, no, that's not for you. You are way too solid and way too comfortable in your being to be taking the back burner. And the enemy cannot access your vessel from the inside. They have to get you from the outside. So, you know what? You have been a pretty solid warrior. I need you in the forefront. And just push me up there. And I always process this. It'd be like, I don't even know how I got to this space other than being pushed here. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't trying to talk too much on me. I don't want to run up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.